Sophia, nice to meet you. Maybe a
Good
little-
evening. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the school committee meeting for this evening, Monday, October 7th, 2019. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please.
Kathleen Amaral,
Here.
Chris Oliver,
Here.
Shannon Jenkins.
Here.
Carol Karafotis. Here. John Noon.
Yep.
I just want to remind everyone that this meeting is being taped by Dartmouth Community Television, as well as through our high school students to be replayed at numerous times. I just ask everyone, if we're a crowded room tonight, if you just make sure that your phones are on vibrate or, silent. What do we have? So we have allotted, let's see, where am I? We have allotted 10 minutes on the agenda for public comment having to do with anything that's listed on the agenda. This morning, I knew there was something on the news regarding a topic that we plan to discuss. Wrongfully, they announced that it would be on the agenda this evening. It is not on the agenda. It certainly is a priority for us to have a discussion about the use of our mascot, and that will be our next meeting during the new business, so that's October 28th. So I apologize to anyone, because I too, this morning early, saw it right in center on my television screen. I thought, oh boy. So if anyone would like to come up and speak to any of the topics on the agenda, I ask that you limit your comments to 2 minutes, and not to come up if you've heard somebody else say what you have to say. We are here to receive any information that you have, and we are glad to receive it, and it helps us inform us in our decision making. So with that said, please come on up. And identify yourself if you so choose to be heard.
Good evening. My name is Renee Vieira, and I'm the president of the Dartmouth Educators Association. I'm a teacher here at the high school. I've been in this district for 23 years now, and I stand before you this evening with a number of members. I represent, the Dartmouth Educators represents teachers, teaching assistants, secretaries, and school nurses. And I stand before you this evening because we are all asking that the school committee and the town of Dartmouth recognize that we really, truly enjoy the district that we work for. Many of us here are graduates from Dartmouth. We stay in town, we raise our families in town. A number of us no longer live in town, but we choose to bring our children here because we enjoy teaching in this district. That being said, the town of Dartmouth has gotten an awful lot from our backs, and we give, and we give, and we give. The health insurance premium split ratio is astronomical. It's the lowest in the region. 52-48. 52-48. Well, the problem with that is that it costs us, if you're on a 42-week pay schedule and you have a family plan, that's $317 that gets taken out of your paycheck weekly. Well, I am a teacher. I have a very good salary for being a teacher. But when my health care goes up $1,000 last year and $500 this year, I need a COLA that's going to be able to at least allow me to make ends meet. So if I'm a teacher on a teacher's salary and I'm bringing home less this year than I did last year, could you please just imagine what it's doing to the teaching assistants in this town, the secretaries? I don't speak for other unions here. I don't represent them, but I can speak for them and say, we all love the town that we work in, but we really need to be able to afford to work in this town. We will never do bad by your children, but we need to be treated fairly. We really do want to matter like our children do in this district. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody else? Thank you again. Okay. Next, we have both regular and executive session minutes for, regular session for our September 9th meeting, as well as executive session minutes for our September 25th meeting. Take them separately.
Madam Chair, make a motion, we approve the minutes of regular session minutes of September 9th, 2019.
So moved?
Okay. Any discussion? No?
No discussion.
No
Just
discussion.
in a second.
Okay. Okay, motion carries. And executive session?
Make a motion, we approve the executive session minutes of both September 9th, 2019 and September 25th, 2019, and hold them until the matter for which was intended is complete.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. Motion carries.
We have to,
No,
we actually
all
have to
you.
vote.
Oh, I'm so
All-
sorry
all
for
in
executive.
favor.
Roll call though, right?
No.
No.
Oh,
Just
all in
the vote.
favor?
All in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. All right, motion carries. We have Sophie Waite here. She's here from Dartmouth High School to provide an update to the committee, and you can do it right from your seat.
Yes.
Yeah. About things that are happening in your school.
So, good afternoon. My name is Sophia Waite, and I am the Student Council School Committee representative for this year, for this first half of the year. So Dartmouth High School has undergone a lot of changes this year, especially the schedule, which was one really huge change. It went from a 7-block period schedule to the 5-period plus pace. Most of us students think that that's a really good change because the 7s period was very cumbersome, and when you went from class to class to class, like constantly, it was very fast, and there wasn't a lot of time to absorb the content. And now that you have the 5 period, you have 10 extra minutes in each class, which really helps with like closing statements and can give students more time to absorb the material. And it definitely helps with homework, with having about 5 classes giving you homework versus, about 3. The 3 of the 5 usually are that's giving you homework versus last year, which was at about 5. We have the PACE block, which is in between first and second period, and it's basically a period which students can sign up to be with certain teachers or be in the library, and they can redo tests, quizzes, work on projects, get help on things they are confused on, and just work on homework. It's really useful for me because I'm in a couple AP classes, and that's a lot of homework. And it helps kids who can get confused not fall super behind because they have that time with teachers that would previously have to be spent before after school, which some kids cannot get a ride to school in the lower grades. And it just provides a really good opportunity for the kids to spend with the teachers. A couple students, a good amount of the students I've talked to, though, would find it a little early in the morning, but it is a great step towards helping students. Our athletic program is off to a really great start with the volleyball team undefeated. The marching band, which, Dartmouth has a great marching band, and it's done really well, winning 2 different weekends at 2 different shows. DHS had a AP kickoff rally where they kind of explained what was happening with the AP classes. APs is a really good opportunity for students at the Dartmouth High School because it's a college level course. in the high school, and you can possibly get college level credit depending on how you do on the AP exam. So that was explained to some students who might have been a little confused about it, and the AP tests, when they were, and certain resources in different weekends where you could go and study were explained and offered. We had some clubs we had the club-like exposition at lunch and the I'm in debate, and there's a ton of new members this year from sophomore, even junior and senior groups that have come into the new clubs. So they're really flourishing. This week there has been a distractology lab thing. I can't do it because I don't have my license yet or permit, but I've heard that it's really good, and it's helping students not be distracted, which is something a lot of students need to get used to because we haven't had that type of responsibility in our lives where we're holding our own lives and the lives of others, like behind the wheel. So it's not only a great opportunity to help teach that, but it's also they can receive a $15 gas gift card. It's a great incentive. So that's about it. We've had a great beginning of the year. It's going really fast, a lot faster than I thought it would. But yeah, so it's going really fast, and yeah, that's about it. Thank you.
Yeah. We told Sophie she doesn't have to stay. She can
Work on those AP classes.
But you did a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a big
Sure it
audience.
was a little-
That's a
yeah.
big audience for the first time.
Yeah. A little overwhelming
Yeah.
probably for her. She did a fantastic job.
Very thorough.
Wow. Great. That was fantastic. So next on our agenda, we're a little early, but next on our agenda is the introduction to our new district health, physical ed, and athletic director, Andrew Christofouli.
Christofouli, yes. Yes, I'm pleased to invite Andrew Christofouli to the podium to give us a little bio on who he is and what he's been doing, but we welcome him to Dartmouth as an experienced director and AD, so.
Thank you. My name is Andy Christofouli. This is my 20th year in education. I've been fortunate enough to have worked in a couple different school departments. I started off in Fall River at Durfee High School, went to Bridgewater Rainham, transferred over to Somerset, and then went back to my hometown in Swansea for the last 12 years. I taught health and phys ed during that time, along with the last 7 years of being the director of athletics and the department head of health and phys ed K-12. So I'm currently the president of the Massachusetts Athletic Directors Association. I serve on a variety of different MIA committees, and I am very, very excited to become part of this community and continue the growth of our athletic programs. So.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Welcome aboard, sir. Good
Thank
to
you.
have you. Good to have you here. I know, along with athletics, you're also the head of, health and phys ed and that type of deal. And just your comments, your thoughts about how we can get to our students with the vaping issues and e-cigarettes and Juuls or whatever God names they're called in this day and age.
I mean, it's an epidemic, as many of us watch the news, and it seems as though every night there's another report of a sickness or, in some cases, a death. It is an epidemic throughout the country. It's not an isolated issue in just towns, such as Dartmouth. I mean, we've handled it in many different towns that I've been involved in. Unfortunately, it seems as though it's growing. It's something that we address within our wellness classes at the high school level, freshman, sophomore year, something that has been addressed in our advisory periods. I know from the MIAA standpoint, they have a lot of workshops that not only student athletes and teachers can participate in, but they're starting to evolve into offering workshops for parents to become educated because, again, there's a lot of different ways that student athletes, students can explore. Some of the devices are very, very common looking, and if you don't know what you're looking for, you don't realize that's what it is. So again, it's something that is continuing to grow, and it's continuing to be addressed, on a yearly basis.
Thank you.
I'd just like to welcome you and
Thank
wish
you.
you well in your new position.
Thank you.
Welcome. It's great to have
Thank
you
you.
on board.
Yeah, same here. Welcome aboard. We're happy to have you. I was a little bit nervous losing your predecessor, Jeff Karen, so late in the summer, but looking over your resume, I think we're very lucky to have you, and we wish you nothing but success.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just echo my colleagues and welcome you to the district. So
Thank you.
I've seen you out and about. My daughter plays field hockey, so I've seen you kind of buzzing around. So yeah, right into it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So welcome.
Thank you.
Did the JVs win today?
Football, yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Clean sweep weekend. Beautiful.
Yep.
All right.
It's a great day.
Very good.
Good.
Thank you.
So thank you.
for
Thank you,
coming.
folks.
Thank you.
And so next we have something pretty fun. We get to recognize our maintenance staff, our facilities director and maintenance and custodial personnel.
Yes, if they would like to spread out over here so we can get a
Plenty of
good
room.
look at all of you. We'd love to, yeah, thank you. So once again, we just wanted to bring them here to recognize the hard work that they've done. We always are amazed, as we said before, that they can get so much done, not only the cleaning of the schools, but also the repairs and updates that these folks do. So I would like Mr. Kiley, once again, to kind of go over some of those, to remind us of some of the work that they are able to get done for us.
Thank you, Dr. Gifford. Yeah, it's an amazing job that this group of people do to maintain, get the schools ready for the start of school, then maintain them throughout the year, and all the projects that we work on to keep these buildings in good working order. We have old buildings. It's a fact of life for us. Even our high school is starting to age, and that's our new building. But we couldn't do what we do without these people. Our buildings look great, despite their age, and that's due to the diligence of these folks on a daily basis. Our maintenance crew, Rick Ferreira, with all the projects that we work on throughout the summer, and the custodians for getting it ready for every day for the kids. It's such a critical component, and it couldn't be, it's such a valuable contribution that you're making, and just want to let you know that we really appreciate that.
We do. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Well, just, the-
Go ahead, go ahead.
oh, sorry. I thought she looked at.
I did look at you.
Yeah, everybody looked at me. Wait a minute, yeah. Story of my life. No, just seriously thank you very much for what you do. You're kind of the behind the scenes of what goes on in a building, keeping it clean, fixing a light socket, a leaky faucet, repairing an air conditioner, the students leave, at between 2 and 3:30, and the custodians come, the night shift comes in, and they're cleaning the building, so that when the students come in the next morning, it looks like, nothing ever happened, and, there was never anything going on in the school during the day. It's all clean and spick and span and ready to start again, and it's not overlooked on this committee, and we appreciate everything you ladies and gentlemen do, so thank you very much.
All right, as a former school principal, I can really, really, really appreciate what you do. I remember once having a custodian that I could never find, and the amount of time I had to spend looking for him and looking for what he was doing, took away from the other kinds of things I had to do for our education piece. I always found our custodians and our maintenance people, I just don't know what we would have done without you. You're an amazing group of people, and I so much appreciate everything you do, not only with the way you take care of the buildings, but how you interact with the students and you make them feel important. Just that. You're a special group, and we really appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, I'm bummed that it was hard for you guys to find seats tonight, but I think it was great that you got such a wonderful reception from all of our teachers, because that's exactly the kind of recognition you deserve for all of the work that you do. I know we've all been sort of a little bit of a broken record talking about, you know, the need for new buildings, and you guys are, and women are the ones that really help keep these old buildings together and creating a great learning environment, you know, the physical environment for our kids, and we really appreciate all that work that you do. Thank you.
So where's Rick Ferrara? Hats off, Rick. I see you in the back
Hi,
there.
Nate.
Hats off, Rick, to you and your crew. I don't know all of you by name, but I think I had the opportunity to see most of you. I want to thank you each individually for your work in front, the work that we see every day, and the work behind the scenes that takes place over the summer and after hours. It's amazing what you folks do, and you know, I personally cannot thank you enough.
I'm gonna echo my colleagues, going last, but no, the impact that you make on the building, squeezing every little ounce of life left in these buildings that you can, the impact that you make on the students, it's really a wonderful thing, and we're really grateful to have you. Late night, early morning, I mean, I'm here at different hours, and you're working hard, and I appreciate everything that you do, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
There we go.
It was bothering her.
Priceless.
Yeah, you don't have to stay and listen to us.
Right till the end.
Right?
Thank you. Yeah, great work. Thank you. Okay, so next on our agenda, we have a resolution around awarding a contract for driver training.
Yes,
Mr.
we
Kiley?
do. Thank you, Mrs. Amaral. So we have resolution number 20.2. It's the least exciting thing of the night so far, but for some kids, they're going to find this pretty exciting, I guess. So resolution awarding a driver training program. Whereas bid invitations for driver training services were duly advertised and one bid proposal was received and opened at the Dartmouth Public Schools Administration Office at 11:15 a.m. on September 30th, 2019, and whereas the following bid result was recorded: Martin Auto School, Inc., 487 Belleville Avenue, New Bedford, Mass. Cost to be paid to the town by the bidder, $205 per class. The above bid proposal was analyzed and has been judged to be the most advantageous and responsible. Therefore, be it resolved that Martin Auto School of 487 Belleville Ave, New Bedford, Mass. be awarded the Dartmouth High School Driver Training Program for the 1920 school year and based on Dartmouth Public School specifications dated September 16th, 2019. So I'd recommend that, that we award
We
that.
have a, okay. So we need a vote.
Approval.
Second?
Okay. Any discussion?
Just
Yes.
one quick question. Have we ever had another bid on this other than,
We
other than
have.
Martin's?
We, oh yeah, we have.
Okay.
Martin has now been, it's been quite a few years, but we've had other companies before them in my time.
Because I've heard mixed,
think we've
I've,
had-
I've heard mixed reviews over them. So
Yeah,
I just-
to be honest, the structure of our bid is not overly attractive to other companies coming in. They pay us to do the class.
Sure.
Like I talked to AAA, they said, well, we're not going to pay you to do it,
Yeah.
you know, to do the class. We'll come in and do it for
Sure.
you, and maybe we have to pay them or
Okay.
something, you know, some sort of an arrangement. So this is about as good as we could do at the moment, but, yeah.
Thank you.
I know they're busy. They,
They're
when my
busy.
daughter went through, it was really difficult, but they all parallel park in front of my house. I should do a side gig and take photos. The students are really good, but, yeah, every day they're in front of my house. Anyway. All right, so, yes.
So can I just, again, how does this compare to last year? Is it exactly the same?
No, it's significantly less.
Okay, so we're paying less.
We're
Or they're paying us
receiving
less.
less.
We're receiving less.
We're receiving something, which is
So,
better
right,
than nothing,
yes,
but in the
correct. So-
future,
Right, how many classes do they offer? And so what do
about
we don't get
seven,
very much,
about
right?
7 or so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's money that goes into the student activity account.
Right, but it's
in
not a
the
lot.
general fund. It's
Okay.
not a earth-shattering amount, but
Okay.
it's something that can be used for kids, so.
Okay.
Mr. Nunes?
Mr. Kiley, is this a one-year contract, or was it a 3-year bid?
This is a 1 year with 2 1-year renewals as options, but we're really gonna look at ongoing issues with this bid going forward and see
Okay.
if we can maybe change it up.
Okay.
But it is nice to have some income into that
Yeah.
student activity account, and I think if we change the bid, we're not going to have that, so it's a consideration we have to think about.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second? We did. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that was unanimous. Motion carries, unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we have some more consent agenda for fundraising activities, Unified Art, and music participation in national championship. Does anyone have a preference? Should we take this together? Do we have any questions, or, go ahead.
I would really like to hear about the distance ones.
Okay.
Out of the country.
Okay.
If there's anyone here, if Dr. Gifford
There is.
could. okay.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, we have folks here.
Say we might just do the PTOs and,
Oh, sure.
do we want to just do the PTOs?
Yeah,
Okay.
So
yeah.
can I just move approval that we approve the fundraising activities for DMS, Potter, and Cushman DeMello PTOs?
I'll second that.
Okay. So, any discussion on those, or just, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
I'll abstain.
Okay, so we've got one abstention for yeses, so motion carries. And so now we have some folks from the Unified Art Department. Would you be available to come on up to speak to all the fun things that you have planned? Yes. I was fortunate to accompany the Unified Arts Department on a field trip recently, and that was fantastic.
We had a good day.
We did. It was a beautiful day. The kids were great. Yeah.
Day.
So,
You know, so
thank you. So
they
if you
make
could
us
just-
proud. So this wasn't fundraising. This is about the
This is about the
trip.
trip.
Yeah,
The trip,
Greece.
sorry, yeah.
So my partners and I, we're contemplating a trip to Greece during April break, which we would leave on Friday night of that week and return, depending on the flight home, either Saturday evening or Sunday morning. This is pretty much focuses around the mainland in Athens. It's 8 days. And as you can see, we have the itinerary. This is through Globus Tours. The past 3 years, we've used CIE Tours. We've kind of depleted their itineraries with going to Ireland, Italy, and last year, our great trip to Iceland. So we're going to start in Athens, and we'll see all the sites such as the Acropolis, the Parthenon, Porch of Maidens, the Temple of Athena. You must have been. Yes, so you can really. The Temple of the Olympian Zeus, the Theater of Dionysus, the Theseum, where Socrates taught, just, life-changing places. And our focus is going to be photography, as the field trip you just went on. The kids are really into it. They just, it's just great. We've had a lot of asking, students coming to us and asking, can we go to Greece? They wanted to go to the Greek islands, but it was a little off season, so we settled for the mainland. So then we'll move on to Corinth and Athens and see where St. Paul preached, also go to the Beehive Tombs, the Lion's Gate, which is Europe's oldest monument, and go to Agamemnon's royal palace, see the fortifications of the citadel, and then go to Epidaurus for a tour of 2,300-year-old open-air theater. So we'll really be looking at antiquity. Then we'll be moving on to Nepalia and Olympia to see where the Olympic Games began. We'll see the remains of the gymnasium and the temples of Hera and Zeus. We will also have a little cooking demonstration and learn how to make tzatziki, which is yummy. Then we'll be moving on to Olympia and Delphi and see the ancient sanctuary of the god Apollo, as well as seeing excavation sites, and see the charioteer, which is a 5th century bronze statue. And kids will also have a dance lesson. Day 6 will bring us to Meteora, where we'll see that landscape is really amazing. Actually, Morgan put together a PowerPoint, but we're short for time. Monasteries were built on the top of these mountains, and we'll get to photograph that. I think that would be really amazing. They're also famous for their frescoes and their views. And then we'll move on day 7 to see where the movie 300 was made, where the 300 Spartans fought against the Persian army. We'll have to have that at one of our fundraisers. Then we'll go back to Athens, and we'll see the setting of Oedipus Rex, and also another war where 10,000 Athenians defeated more than twice the number of Persians in 490 BC. And then day 8, we'll have the morning, and then we'll travel home. It's a long flight home. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. We've also included pricing. Now, some of we have locked in the pricing for the land tour, which depending on if our students are under 18, upon the return, they'll get an extra 10% discount, which the land tour would then be $1,519. If they're over 18, it will be $1,709. We've priced out air. It's ranged anywhere from $700 to $2,800. So we have some homework on that. I've just put kind of an average in. And that fluctuates like the stock market. You have to just lock in when you lock in, as everyone knows. Last year we saved quite a bit of money doing our own air. We did not go with the tour guide's air, but making air just to Iceland was pretty easy. But I think we got it for less than half. So we will try to do that again. Also, they'll have some cost for gratuities for the tour director and the driver, as well as a fee for the bus. We take a school bus from Dartmouth High School up to Logan and back home again. So this includes 2 10%, as I had mentioned, and this also includes breakfast each day and 3 dinners. So they would have to provide for 4 dinners. And so we're thinking, depending on whether they go with insurance, which is another charge of $199. If you're under 18, it's just a little over $3,000, inclusive of everything except those 3 dinner meals. And if you're under 18, it's about almost $29. And over 18, almost $33. And under 18, just a little over $3. Now, the past 3 years, Morgan, our painter extraordinaire, we've done paint nights. And they've been very successful because the kids sell tickets, and it's pretty much like a 90% profit. All we have to do is buy canvases. Everything else we have. However, they just keep the money for the tickets they sell. And if they're motivated enough to do 6 of them and they can get a group, most kids made between $400 and $500 if they sold all those tickets in one night. And that's probably, how long are we there? About 3.5 hours. You know, and the kids, Morgan instructs, kids help out, they clean up, we're all there to supervise. Last year, Not Your Average Joe's donated dinner, so we could mark that up a little bit, and we could look into that again. We've done restaurants for fundraising, jewelry making. We can think of some new things this year, maybe. We're trying to set up like a photo studio. Maybe we'll do something with that.
Pet portraits.
Pet portraits, yes, that might be big.
That's a good idea.
You know, whoever is willing to work, we're here to work with them to help defray costs. And I know we have one student that just brought up, she said, I'm still paying off Italy. No, which is really nice to hear that kids will work to do these trips. And I know from feedback we've received, it's been life-altering for them, as it has been for us. It was such a joy to bring them. And at first, we didn't go on like student tours. We were mixed with other people. And they would see us coming, and they'd look at us like, oh, my God, kids. So I'm like, our kids are great. And by the end, they're like, we couldn't believe it. It was actually a joy to be with them. You know, as you can vouch, like they listen.
Yeah.
You know?
Really good.
And they're very grateful to be where they are and to see what they see, and they're respectful. And, you know, in the past, I told you where we had picked up lunch before, they had given the kids free tiramisu, and I've gone there for years, and they're like, you're that lady that brought all those nice kids. You know, it's really nice. So I think that covers just about everything. Does anyone have questions of me or Morgan or
I'll
Sue?
start, I guess. You folks have a great track record. I think we're very fortunate. I think our students are very fortunate to have these opportunities, and I hope that someday my 8th grade will have an opportunity to attend one of them. So best of luck with I hope it works out.
Yes, thank you so much.
So I just have one question. I mean, I think these trips are great, but why the difference in pricing for under 18 and over 18?
This is just by Globus Tours. They offer an incentive. That's their incentive.
Okay, I would just, because I know the drinking age is 18 in Greece, so I just wanted to make sure they weren't like including the cost of alcohol or anything in that, because I knew our policies are that they cannot drink, but I just wanted to verify that wasn't why the difference in price was there. Okay.
Not that I heard. It was just, you know, sometimes if the parent accompanies, I know the other group we used had given 20% discount if the parent, and, you know, we have a lot of parents that go with us as well.
Yeah, I just, like my son, when he's a senior, if he were to go on a trip like this, he would be over 18, so I was just kind of curious.
Yeah.
He's a man-sized person now, so it can't be food,
Food,
right?
right.
'Cause it's
Or
not
space.
the 18 for that, right? So I was just curious. Okay, thank you.
I'm sure you're going to have a wonderful time, and you're going at a wonderful time of year, too.
Is that good weather? Yeah.
Yes. When I've gone, it's been in the summer, and the last time we went on, we were on the Acropolis. It was so hot.
And lots of climbing, too.
Yeah.
We need our hiking sneakers. Huh?
I was able to maintain with the group, so wish you the best. That's a wonderful
Thank
trip,
you.
and it'll be very memorable, I'm sure.
That's fantastic. Have a great time, have a safe trip, and
You're all invited.
they will, they will bring back, they'll bring back a lot of good memories and good pictures that we'll see at the art show in May.
Yes, for sure.
Beautiful.
I have to bring the Iceland pictures down to Bush Street. We have them all matted
Oh,
and ready
great.
to go.
Yeah. No, it sounds like a wonderful opportunity. And yeah, those students are just incredibly engaged and so mature and just really into, and clearly they are so respectful and appreciate your guidance and
We kind of hit everything with you when you came with us. I mean, we had one student that was ill, and the other kids were so nice
Yeah.
to her and helpful. I mean, you saw that.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
really nice.
Yeah,
And
it
she was a
was-
trooper.
She was
She had
a
motion
trooper.
sickness.
Yeah, poor thing. She was. It was poor thing. They all were troopers. They
Yes.
like, yeah, it was incredible. I know my group of adult friends. I don't think we're as resilient and as patient and as like stoic as they were. It was really great. And just from another hat, if you, I may have emailed you, I don't know, because things are a blur lately. If your students are interested, I know Marianne Santos has offered in the past too, in the resource fair that we organize, you've had
Yes,
students come
we
do
did have.
henna and sell their
Right.
art, or so I welcome
To
them.
set up a table. We did that for
Yeah.
Ireland.
So
yeah.
if you feel or they feel that they're available and that's something that they want to do, just let me know and
Yes.
we'll have the space for you. So
Great, thank you.
you're welcome. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Need a motion.
Do you have anything to add?
We need a motion.
Do you want to move? So moved. I'll move approval.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Any more discussion? Oh, yes.
I just say that if you would like to sample some Greek cooking and pastry, the Greek church is having their little gathering
The
next.
one across from Potter?
Oh, good. good.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
good.
canceled it because of the Triple E, but they're going to be doing something the weekend of the 20th.
Oh, and that's right in town. I'll let the kids know.
Yeah.
We'll have to go.
Thank you for mentioning that.
Lots of good pastry there.
Yeah, I'm
Plus
sure.
other food.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And so the next, I don't know if anyone's here to speak to
Saw Lily here earlier.
Ms. Chamberlain.
She's here.
She's here.
Yes, she's right there.
Come on.
Where are you? Oh, there you are, right in the second row. Sorry. I get a little overstimulated with. So this is a cultural excursion.
Yes. So it's been a while since we've done a trip to to a Spanish-speaking country, and I chose Costa Rica for a couple of reasons. I've been there twice myself, and I really loved it, and also it's a pretty reasonable place to visit. So I thought it would be a good place where our students might be able to, a variety of students might be able to afford to or raise money to go. I went last February with my 2 kids. And so I learned a couple of things. One is that I love it there. It's totally awesome. It's not like going to Greece because there aren't like a lot of big monuments and historic things to visit. It's all about the nature and the outdoor adventure and about learning about conservation and how they as a country face a lot of environmental issues and deal with them in different ways than we do. So instead of, going to the Parthenon and Meteora and places like that, there'll be, zip lining and going to hot springs and kayaking and doing things outdoors. So we visit a lot of different outdoor nature parks. I chose an itinerary that doesn't really cover a ton of land, a ton of surface area because the roads there really are not that great, and I don't really want the kids to be. Some of the roads are good. They've done a lot of work there. In the last 10 years, they have some good highways, but a lot of roads will just turn into dirt and when you're not expecting it. So I don't really want the kids to spend their week on the bus. I want them to be doing activities as much as possible. But even though we're going to be in a fairly small area, they'll still be able to see, they'll see tropical rainforest, they'll see a cloud forest, they'll get to spend a day at the beach on the West Coast, and they'll see a volcano. It's going to be, for kids that like the outdoors and like nature and outdoor adventures, it's, just the perfect trip for them. Also, I chose to go with Explorica because some of my colleagues in my department had good experiences with Explorica before, and they do a really cool thing with the fundraising. They help the kids set up, the kids can really easily set up their own kind of GoFundMe page, so they can make their own little personalized page, and they can, ask people that they know to help them with financing the trip. But you guys have the number. I think you have the proposal in front of you. I don't know.
Yes.
So, probably it should be around $2,500 if we can get 15 kids to go. If we have more than 20, then it would be less than $2,500. And this is not proposed until next February, so a year from this February. So if we can get things growing now, then parents can get on a monthly payment plan.
Yeah.
It'll be $170 over the next 15 months. So it makes it a lot more affordable for parents. So that's part of the reason why I was planning it quite a bit in advance. So that's it. It's totally awesome. I know the kids will love it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Questions?
Sounds wonderful.
So I just have one question. Judy's trip had the optional trip insurance, and having been trying to travel out of Logan in February, I've not been able to do that a few times. Does this come with trip insurance?
Yeah, so
Can they purchase
Rachel
that?
and Ross and I need to discuss. Rachel was thinking that she might just want to require everybody to have trip
Okay.
insurance. It's another $100
Okay,
per person.
great.
So if Rachel and Ross, if
Probably
we
well
decide
worth
that we would just want to
It
require
is,
that,
yes.
then I can just require it and everybody
Okay.
has to get it, yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That's it. It looks
Good
like a
point.
great trip, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
in February,
Yeah,
yes.
sounds fantastic. Anyone else?
Talk about a change of temperatures.
Yeah.
I'll move approval.
Okay. Anybody have any other interesting things to share? Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Unanimous?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you for telling
No
us about that.
recommendation.
Sounds great. All right, so we have the permission to participate in the national championship for the Dartmouth School Music Association.
I'll move approval. I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion?
See if we can do 4 in a row.
Yeah.
Best of luck.
We're off to a great start, so, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously. Great. So now, it's a long night. I should have everybody bring their pillows and blankies. So we have presentations. So we have school improvement plans from Quinn, Potter, DeMello, and Cushman schools.
So we have all 4 elementary school improvement plans. We did change it up a little. We'll just need to see the screen over there. So normally what we do is we adjust the 3 areas of the school improvement plan, but the first one being teaching and learning, and sometimes it gets a little repetitive. So this year we asked Mrs. Oliveira to summarize the teaching and learning piece as a whole, and then each of the schools, and we'll go in order, Quinn, Potter, DeMello, Cushman, that's on here. We'll talk about their community and their access and equity, and then we just asked them to mention something they were excited about.
Great.
At the end. So they'll follow the same format. So we
Okay.
have Mrs. Oliveira.
Thank you.
Good evening. So as Dr. Roy just said, I'm going to present the teaching and learning parts of the elementary schools' school improvement plans. As you all know, the improvement plans are based on the district improvement plan, and the initiative of teaching and learning has been the same. It has been. We've been working on it. We've made some great strides over the last 3 years. So our new initiatives start out with implementing of ST Math in grades K and 2. Many of you might have heard about Gigi or seen Gigi around in the schools. She is a little penguin. That is the mascot of ST Math. And ST Math is a conceptual math program that is no language based. So students are really trying to solve problems, visually moving objects and trying to understand the conceptual part of math. And the teachers come in and assign the academic language once the students have mastered it. And it's a very interesting way to learn math. I was in a kindergarten class with a little 5-year-old who was kind of kicking my butt and doing some of the problems, no problem. I had to, at one point, say, oh, slow down, just for 1 point, so I could kind of understand what was happening. But once they get it, they can just keep moving with it. And it's also, it ties in a little bit more on one of our other initiatives that we'll get to. Grades 2, 3, and 4 are developing math project-based lessons. We're doing this work in conjunction with Highlander and our elementary CIA teams. So we had our first meeting already in which we developed some priorities of practice, which we were working on increasing student voice in our math lessons, working on their perseverance and grit, which is part of what the ST Math does too. We're trying to teach kids, don't give up, try something, what can you do? In ST Math, we say, play the gray, because we have found that, especially in math, some of our kids just look at it and say, I can't do it. So part of our priority practices when we start redoing our lessons is trying to build up that perseverance in our kids. And we're also almost at the very end of our balanced literacy for K to 5. This year, we're doing K to 1 phonics. You might have met Mabel or Rashid, who is their mascots in our K class and our first grade class. Kids are loving it. Teachers are loving it. They're really learning their snap words and coming up fast. We have a group of teachers. It was supposed to be a small pilot. And when the teachers found out, they started asking for kits and asking for kits. So we have almost about 80% of our K and first grade teachers doing it this year. And we will grab everyone else next year to move on. Our grade 5 is finishing up our Readers and Writers Workshop with implementing the final year of Readers Workshop in 5th grade. And so as you can see, we kind of staggered our initiatives so it wasn't heavy overload. So we have K and 1 doing phonics, 2, 3, and 4 doing the math, and grade 5 doing reading. So it was a very strategic plan for the last 5 years to get everyone on board. And our last one is one that excites me the most because it's really, we're not really switching initiatives. We're just going a little bit deeper into them. So now that we have everyone doing a workshop model, we're just going a little bit deeper with our mini lessons. And there's a typo in there. It should be focusing on the components of a mini lesson. I apologize for that. Sometimes I work too fast. And so we're really looking at those little parts. They should be 10 to 12 minutes of strategic teaching. We tell the teachers, you get in, you get dirty, and you get out. And it's their time for voice, and the rest of the block is time for student voice. So that's where all 3 schools are working on. We have a very good alignment of the PD of what we're doing with the coaches embedded and after school and during CPT time. The teacher teams work together across the grade levels, so all 4 schools really are moving together at the same pace. That's what I have for teaching and learning. And I think I'm turning it over to Cushman.
Okay.
All right.
Good evening. So I'm excited to share some of the work that the Cushman School staff will be working on this year under Access and Equity. I'll start there. So this year, going along with the district initiative for personalized and blended learning, that's pretty much what early childhood is all about. We have our workshop model going, our small group instruction, and differentiated learning centers and stations, but we're going to be more mindful and more focused on expanding that work to include student voice, choice, and interests into those activities, including some low-tech and some high-tech teaching tools. So when I say low-tech, we're talking about a variety of materials and resources, and I'll talk a little bit deeper when I get into what we're excited about to explain what that would look like. But we're also including in that specialized seating for our students, sensory paths, and movement activities built into our day. As far as high tech, we are excited that our kindergarten now has a Chromebook cart that we're using for GG, but also in a variety of other areas as well. And something new this year, and I'm not Jonathan Gallenshaw, so bear with me, but I'm going to try to explain this, Jonathan. We have now clear touch interactive panels. We have one in preschool and we have one in kindergarten. So it's pretty much a smart board on wheels, but we're excited that the one for kindergarten actually folds horizontally, so you can have a group of students around it at the four corners, so you can have four groups working at the same time. So we're excited to see what that's going to look like this year with with one class in particular. In addition, under Access and Equity, we're continuing our work with brain-based therapeutic practices. This year, we're focusing on relationship building, particularly through our morning meeting routine and our afternoon closing circle. So why do we do this? Well, we want kids to feel good when they're walking into the building and have fun. So we're building trust with our students, we're setting a positive tone for learning, and at the same time merging some social and academic learning in there. So the four components of our morning meeting will include a greeting, where all students are invited to greet each other by name. Sometimes they're giving high fives or hugs along with that. There's a sharing, so students can share maybe what they did last night or something fun that they did at home. There's an activity built in, which builds teamwork and collaboration. And lastly, there's a morning message, which is something that the students can read and interact with, and also tells them what their day is going to look like. And even at that preschool level, we can do that. So under community engagement, we're always looking to refine our practices for parent communication. So we continue to add to our website, our Twitter account. We're using the Remind app almost globally throughout the whole school, and we continue our partnership with DCTV. This year, though, I'm looking for our school council to do a parent survey to look for other ways to get parents involved, and also to reach out to the parents with information. So I kind of want to hear from them. What are those early childhood topics that you want to hear about? And then bringing that information back to possibly, in addition to maybe doing family nights, we find that sometimes that night might not work because there's soccer and baseball and dance. But maybe doing some taped virtual presentations that we can put up on the website so parents can view it at any time. So that's our work there. And also, in addition, enhancing our communication, particularly with our preschool students, with parents and early intervention providers, so that we can have a smoother transition from EI to the public school. So we are excited to continue updating our preschool brochure. We have updated our website link as far as our preschool program goes. And in addition, I've created some partnerships with early intervention providers that we're now meeting twice a year. And that's all the local schools along with Meeting Street, so that's great. And in addition, I've seen a huge increase with DESE and their early education and care group, and Ms. Brooks and I have attended many of their PD sessions. So bringing all that information back to our staff. And also, I'm excited to talk about, so you have to bear with me because I don't often get the podium, so I'm going to talk about play and the importance of it, so just bear with me. We are excited this year to be really working on purposeful play at both the pre-K and kindergarten level. We're going to be doing a book study on purposeful play. So I had the opportunity to go to a pre-K institute over at the Teachers College of Reading and Writing in New York with Lucy Calkins, and got a lot of information to bring back as far as how we can refine play practices in the classroom. So we are in a different place than some of our older grades, where we, at the preschool and kindergarten level, we teach the skills that are needed for the rest of your life, not just to move on to the next grade level. And what better way to do that than through play? So when we position our kids as agents of their own learning through play, that's what blended and personalized learning looks like. Play allows for creativity, exploration, and meaning making. It supports language development and social emotional development in a very highly motivating situation. Students learn to analyze and negotiate in play, and if they play with detail, then they're going to read and write in detail as they move on. So for example, you may see students playing with blocks and thinking they're just building, but in fact, when that student makes a change to that block to make that tower work, they are editing what's going to soon look like editing in their writing. So they know to make that change. This year, our work for play will focus on enhancing our classroom environments to support this play, specifically through classroom space and materials. So our spacing, usually we prep it. We buy, the nice things to hang up. We want the kids to be doing that and making it their space. We often will have centers in our classroom, so it's the block center, the kitchen center, and we're looking to change that so we leave it more open-ended. So that block center becomes the building center, where kids can choose the materials that they want to build. And then they can also go off to another center and use some of those materials as well, instead of just using blocks at that center. They can go off and borrow from the kitchen area. Another example would be, typically in our kitchen area, we have all the plastic food that the students will use. Well, don't leave that out. Give them Play-Doh and paper so that they're creating and building. That's what we want them to be working on. Also having materials centrally located in the classroom that they can take to bring to any center at all. So open-ended materials like construction paper, clay, that kind of stuff. In addition, we'll be talking with the staff about types of balanced play, how to observe stages of play, and the teacher's role in play, because we want the teachers to get involved with the play as well. And sometimes that's as a participant, sometimes it's as a peacemaker, a parallel player, or what we call an artist apprentice, which means you suggest a new material or a way to lift the level of play that's going on in that center. So that's what we are excited about for the Cushman School moving forward this year, but I'd be happy to take any questions. Would like to, anyone start, Chris?
You want me to start?
Sorry, it went a little fast, but I'm
you know,
warm. It's
no,
very
that's-
warm in here.
That was,
so.
that was a lot of information. It's amazing how we're forever evolving at the early childhood level, the preschool, the kindergarten level. Do we find as a district that the changes, the rigorous teaching that we're doing at the early childhood level is making a difference? And it's tough for you because you're only early childhood, but moving on to first grade and into elementary school, I'm just wondering, clearly we're getting feedback and we're changing our ways and we're evolving. So are we seeing a difference, I guess?
The Department of Ed is actually collecting data now for all the incoming kindergartners from the parents as far as what kind of preschool experience, if any, that they had, talking about were they full days, half days, number of hours and that. And I think what they're looking to see is how does that correlate with MCAS or whatever it might be in 2 or 3 years. So.
Thank you.
You're singing my song when you talk about play.
Didn't I prep you?
I know, you told me you're going to talk about play, because I just think for our youngest learners, play is so important. I think the biggest thing that kids can learn in preschool is to love school, and that really carries throughout their education. And So integrating play is just so critical for
Mhm.
them. So I was super happy to hear you talk about all the focus on play. Thank you for that.
I agree. I was really pleased to see that it's really something you're focusing on in the different stages. But I'd also make the case that play is important all the way through the elementary grades, and the kids really need that. And of course, it helps when we have people who are able to look at what the students are doing and help them to be more effective in how they deal with issues that come up on the playground, which is sometimes very difficult to do. But as I was reading over your work, I've heard of emergent, the reading and the writing, but you're doing emergent storytelling. And that must be very interesting to have those little ones. Could you tell me a little bit more about what
So that kind of goes along with the play. So it's when a teacher is doing a read aloud and the kids they hear it repeated and they will then carry that through. So the idea would be that they would take the story that they listened to from the teacher and then bring it into the building area and maybe, build a home for the character or something, or carry that story on. So
see.
again, that has like a direct link to their writing later on when they're able to write their own story. So that's kind of what it's about.
Great. You guys are doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Looks like you've got a busy year ahead of you, as you were going through everything between, the access and equity, the community involvement, and things of that nature. So I'm excited to see what's going on. Question I have, and everybody knows my computer literacy.
Oh, I hope I can answer this.
No. What you were seriously talking about that side,
Yep.
how are the students reacting with that? How
So
do
they haven't started using it yet. We need to get it set up.
Oh,
They're
okay.
using it somewhat, but without the internet component of it.
Mhm.
But the idea is that it kind of falls flat like a table, and you could put a problem of the day on there. Maybe they're building something on there that has to with blocks, and you're leveling, or you have to use 5 blocks in a certain way, that you could have 4 groups going at the same time, or you could actually have 4 different activities in each corner that the kids rotate around. So kind of like creating those centers in your classroom, but right around this panel.
Beautiful, very good.
So I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, please do. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this is great. Thank you for everything that you do. I've, along with like the community engagement, if ever I could be of help in kind of partnering in any way in my professional role, I do a lot of parents as partners. And, you see people kind of go onto social media and like blast, their neighbor, their teacher, whatever. If there's any way that working together, I'm sure it's on your mind anyway, getting them young, getting those parents in there and realizing that it doesn't always have to be a boxing match, that we're here for the long haul and that the kids matter, and we want our kids to succeed. So if ever I could partner in that way, I'm happy
Absolutely.
to. So.
Thank you.
But thank you. Great work.
Thank you.
Next.
Thank you, Melissa.
So we.
DeMello?
DeMello. Well, Potter, well, yeah, either way. DeMello's on there.
Evening. So we are also excited to share a little bit of what's on the docket at DeMello School this year. Under our access and equity, you see our first bullet point there is to foster diversity awareness in our staff and students through PD and some instruction. So we have the Commission on LGBTQ coming to one of our staff meetings this spring to proactively discuss with our staff the topics of gender identity and sexual orientation and how these topics affect even our youngest learners. We also have the Child Advocacy Center coming to another of our staff meetings to provide information on how to best handle some of the most sensitive situations that our students may find themselves in, and how we can support students in school and their families, as well as what supports they provide for families outside of our walls. We just actually today had our Student of the Month, our first Student of the Month assembly, and we found out that one of our parents did an interview on NPR that aired this morning on implicit bias. So we are working with him on potentially setting up a date to come do a little work with our staff on that as well. And then we have something called Pineapple Time, which I'll talk a little bit about more in a minute. But on the student end of things, every Friday, Mrs. Correa and I take a grade level, and we work with the kids while the teachers are off doing something else that we'll talk about. But we do a lot of activities and read-alouds that come from this book. So I also went to Teachers College at Columbia this summer and had the good fortune of hearing Sarah Ahmed speak. And this is a book called Being the Change, and it has a lot of read-aloud suggestions and lessons, and the focus of the book is teaching social comprehension to students. So we're doing a lot of work with our kids on self-identity and identifying. There's activities in here on what does your name mean and how do you celebrate your name, and we're hoping to do some work with the kids on self-portraits that we can get out around our school. And then also, we are continuing to design learning spaces that are brain-based therapeutic environments. As you heard Mrs. McHenry say, we continue to have the 4 Rs, relationships, routines, reinforcements, and that restore, reset, guide all of the work that we're doing. I'd like to give a shout out to my 3rd grade teachers who this summer visited a South Coast Educational Collaborative school, a behavioral setting, and they observed some of the practices that they were doing there and how could we bring that back into our setting. And they've done some really great things. They're taking the last 10 minutes of their day. The kids are working on practice cards. They're reinforcing the positive things the kids have done throughout the day. The kids who need to practice something are doing it right in that moment. And we're kind of trying to fix that behavior and get it right back on course. They're doing a lot of collaboration with Dr. McKerney. And you'll also see that our classrooms physically look different than maybe what you're used to seeing. You certainly are not walking in and seeing desks and rows. You're actually seeing less and less desks, period. We have standing desks, floor desks, wobble stools, calming corners, brain break stations. We have completely flexible seating arrangements. And we're really just working hard at meeting our students' diverse needs, and our teachers are working to create those optimal physical spaces for learning. On the community engagement end of things, Mrs. Corey and I this summer had a long discussion about fully bringing back the Discover DeMello series, which was a nighttime series that we did at DeMello, and we had workshops on all different facets of learning. And then, in truth, we read Potter's SIP from last year where they were talking about their idea of a digital platform for parent presentations. And we put our kind of realistic hat on, and the reality that we know is that our parents are busy and that oftentimes can't make it to a one-shot deal. But just because they're busy, it doesn't mean that they don't want to be informed. I will speak on a personal level as a parent of school-age children. My mom friends, my dad friends, and I talk a lot about how we're Googling and blogging parent blogs at 11 o'clock at night after my kids are in bed and after, lunches are made for the next day, and I might have even said hello to my husband. But that's when we're doing some of the work. And if we were trying to think, wouldn't it be great if parents had that option to click on a link at 10:30 at night and figure out what in the world a Snapboard is, or how I can use an open number line to help my child add fractions. So we're hoping to work with Liz Vosi, our instructional tech specialist, and maybe the DHS media and production students to create some visual seminars where parents can figure out what their needs are and then be able to do that when they're able to do it. Our first step in that process is to do a parent interest survey. So that will happen at parent-teacher conferences. It's a time that we really do get a lot of parents into the building. So we need to figure out what topics it is they want to know about before we can take some next steps as to creating and producing those seminars. We maintain our Take Home Tuesday, our virtual backpack, and our Social Media Monday, where we get on Twitter and Facebook and try to shout out all the things that are going on at DeMello School. And then with the help of our dedicated teachers, really through our reading committee, our math committee, and our PTO, we have we had our fall festival this weekend. We have a bingo for books, we have math night and reading night, so it's really through the dedication of those people that we're able to get that done, but we'd like to bridge that gap between home and school. And then the thing that we're excited about at DeMello School is we have some embedded peer learning walk time. So you heard me talk before about how every Friday Mrs. Correa and I take one grade level and we do a social comprehension activity with them. But during that half an hour, teachers at that grade level are freed up to go into another classroom in the building and observe their peers teach. So that's really something that we believe wholly in, and research really backs being able to observe your colleagues. So teachers might drop down a grade level and see what the kids who they got are learning before them. They might go up a level and see what they need to do to prepare the kids to go to the grade. So, time is always sort of the enemy of everything we do. So it's really a double win, because the highlight of our week, truly, to be with the kids, and it frees the teachers up to be able to go anywhere in the building and see what's going on. So that is what's happening at DeMello School.
Great. Would like to start?
I know Mrs. McHenry talks fast. I can talk even faster.
I think it has to do with being a teacher and an administrator. You just have to, so much going on, you have to be able to get it
That's
out in a
right.
hurry type
We're
of a deal.
efficient, Mr. News. We're efficient.
You talk about, 10:30 at night type of, that's when you finally get a chance to start to wind down.
Yeah.
That's it. But no, very good, and congratulations and good luck. It's, again, another busy year, a lot going on there, and I wish you well.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I really like the idea of teachers being able to get out into other classrooms. I know you are covering a classroom for that to happen, and I know there's a lot of professional development going on, and probably need to get subs in for that. I was just curious, what is the sub situation? Is it, I know we
Well,
sometimes have a big,
Our target is 90, and we're only at 70, so we have days where we're short, and oftentimes some teacher's assistants have to cover the classroom. So we do our best to try to get it up to that target of 90. But we're struggling right now.
sounds like a lot of exciting things are going on over there. So congratulations,
Thank
keep
you.
up the good work, and wish you well.
Thanks.
Thanks, that was great. I'm really excited to hear, and I know this is going on in the other schools too, about just the variety of sort of seating and physical options that are being offered for our kids. I mean, I know when my oldest was going into elementary school, he was just not ready to sit at a desk. And I know there's a lot of kids that aren't ready to do that. And it's exciting too that we're also seeing it not just at the elementary level, but in other places. And I'm happy to see that in the elementary school and all of the districts to sort of give the kids the space they need to be good learners, right? So that's awesome. Thank
And
you.
I'll echo a thank you to the DEF because they funded a grant through one of our grade levels who wrote a grant for all kinds of great flexible I mean, they have cool stuff in their rooms. You should come by.
There's really cool stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen it in those grants, yeah. Thank you.
So yeah, I'm equally excited about the flexible seating. I know every fall or the end of every summer, I take a ride with my wife to IKEA to pick up some flexible seating to add to the classroom. So I think that's a great piece. And I'm really happy to hear that you're making time for your teachers to go and observe each other with the PLCs, and I think that's huge. I attended a meeting or a conference last year in which one of the topics was about pineapple charting. Is that in?
So the pineapple.
It sounds like that's
Absolutely. Yep.
what you're doing.
You got it. It's so the premise behind a pineapple is that it's the symbol for welcoming and greeting. And similar to the high school has done a pineapple project as well. So teachers, we started with a pineapple project where people could sign up something that they were doing in their classroom. We added to that a wish list of things that people wish they could see in the classroom to try to give people like, oh, I'm doing that. Why don't you come in and see it? But I think even with that, to your point, that it's hard to get coverage for that. It's hard to kind of make that work. So we still have our pineapple chart, and we still have people sign up for that. But this is sort of embedded time that we give to a grade level to say, what do you want to do?
That's great. No, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all that you do. I'm fortunate. I have a fourth grader at DeMello who is just really eager to get to school every day, and I didn't realize she's eager because she loves to learn, and she really is happy in the school environment. But during open house, I realized she's really trying to get the first choice at a seat in her classroom. So we smartened up to that. But no, she's really. So that's a thing I hear, that the kids want to kind of be there because they want to pick their seating. Yeah, and just what a shift, though, for the teachers, too. Because I know my daughter's teacher was like, oh, you want to kind of get in there, but those kids are really doing their thing and learning. And like you said, those seats aren't all facing the blackboard. And, and if you move, you're in trouble. It's sort of a moving thing. And I think that the result is clearly, the evidence is going to be in the data that these kids really are more comfortable, more, making those opportunities to learn from their mistakes and do better each day, and it's a challenge. And I mean, I see it at home with, my fourth grader, and just the attention too to the social emotional I mean, her emotional, I always tell her, you know, you learn better than mommy did when she was your age. So, because she just, you know, is repeating things that she's learning at school around how to redirect her own self and how to kind of manage her own emotions. And those students are really at an advantage to have that as a part of their curriculum. But so thank you for all that you are doing, and I love how you're bringing in to foster that diversity awareness because it is something that's so important to just everyone's different, and that's okay, and everyone learns differently, and that's okay, and we're all in here to support each other. So wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
Potter.
Potter.
Just going off script for a second, Dr. Karafotis, you had mentioned about the play at the upper grades and how important it is. So it just made me think, through the help of Mrs. Brooks and our PTO, we were able to purchase this year life-size Jenga games and Connect 4.
Oh, so cool.
And at our first staff meeting this year, because we are, like our other schools, focusing on the 4 Rs, at our first staff meeting, we had the teachers get together and look at these games and play these games. And we gave them very little instruction on how to do them. So they had to grapple with them as well. But the idea behind that was we wanted the teachers to bring them into their classrooms to begin that relationship building with their new students. But now we're going to bring it and have a station at recess. So the monitors are getting together to decide, would Connect 4 make more sense here, or Jenga? And for those students who are maybe not so much into kickball and some of the other physical games, it gives them another opportunity, and it's a wonderful, like, strategy kind of based game for them to play. So it is happening at the upper grades as well. Looking at access and equity, this year at Potter, we're going to work with our ITS specialist, Sandy Chicker. We're looking to integrate the technology skills and the digital literacy standards into our project-based personalized learning initiative. The digital literacy standards that have come from DESE, they focus on creating, connecting, collaborating, and researching. All of that is just ripe for the project-based experience. So what Mrs. Brooks has done is that every classroom has a time to work with Ms. Chicka. Every classroom has that STEM block that we've extended for them to really get in there and grapple with those skills. But this year we've been able to take it one step further. Because we went down from 4 kindergartners last year to 3 kindergarten classrooms, we were able to give Sandy a dedicated space. So we're soon going to be opening up our STEM lab. So our students, previously in the past when Ms. Chicka would come to their classroom, they'd be getting highly involved in that imaginative, exciting experience, but then when the 40 minutes were up, they had to close it down. Now the STEM lab will be open for them, for the teachers to sign up. They can go down there, they can work on the green screen, they can work on the engineering projects, and they don't have to think about putting it away. So we're really looking forward to that to open up. Also this year, we are looking to look at the implementation of our intervention services, and we're taking it one step further to focus on the fidelity of the services. So we're going to judge whether an intervention, both academic and behavioral, is successful by diving down deep. We're going to look to see how often is that intervention happening, what specifically skill-wise is happening. Because if you don't look at the nitty-gritty of an intervention, you won't be able to tell whether or not a child is succeeding. And it also allows you to have open and honest discussions with staff. It's okay to say, I'm having a tough day as a staff member too. I couldn't get to that behavior chart that they were working on. And that's okay, but if we don't recognize that, then we can't fully measure whether an intervention service is working. And then we can also work with staff and say, okay, how do we have to think of that differently so that we can make sure child and staff are successful? So those are the 2 areas in access and equity we're working on this year.
And I'm going to talk to you about our community engagement. As we've referenced, we're expanding the use of social media platforms to engage our families. We attempted some things last year. We did some Facebook Live presentations. We have Twitter accounts. We did the electronic backpack, and we then surveyed parents to say, what did you like having? Well, they want that all, except if it comes in a form, then they want it to come home as a paper. Very often our families are not even accessing the information on a computer, they're accessing on a phone. And if they have a phone, they can't send something to print, or they can't look at the full scope of that. So we're still grappling with that mix, but we're definitely seeing that our parents, for the most part, really are looking for something that's going to be in their inbox or at the ready, as Mrs. Paveo said, you know, at 10:30 at night when they finally have a chance to look at that. They don't necessarily take out the paper copy of the Potter pages to read, but they'll be on their screen. Sad but true. Our other piece is engaging with community agencies, and if you have a copy, which I know school committee members do, have a copy of the full school improvement plan, you can see a list of all the outside agencies that we work with. And these typically are not one-shot experiences. These are things that we do on a regular basis. I'll just call to mind our junior achievement. This is our 4th year being involved with junior achievement. We have JA classes, kindergarten through grade 5, and we're now starting to see that financial literacy piece. When the new JA starts, the students are recalling the JA experience of the previous years. So we're seeing some of those things carry over, and it's something that we've worked hard to instill in our fabric of Potter School. And as I said, all of these are things that are important to us in our values. What we're excited about is the opening of the North Dartmouth branch library. So it has a temporary occupancy permit right now so that we can start moving materials in, and we're looking sometime in November to have the real opening, and we're thrilled. Our students will be able to walk over, which is actually through the sort of the backyard. We have a path between the two spaces, and the children's section of that library is what's facing Potter School. So as soon as we go in the door, we'll have that space. They also have a community space for 120 individuals, and we're hoping to be able to access that space during the day. We're relatively space poor, so if we have an activity, we're either jamming it in the classrooms, or we're kicking gym to the classroom or outside, or trying to figure it out around our lunch schedules. And so we're going to be working with them to access during the school day the community space that they have at the library. So we're very excited.
Thank you. Would like to start? Chris?
Sure, I'll start. I'm also excited about the North Dartmouth Library branch opening. So I think you're finally getting a library that you deserve, and you probably wanted for a while. What is your plans for your the existing space that's at Potter?
Lynn Antunes is coming over to look at our collection, and I will be honest, we're very proud of our library space, very proud of our collection, but then when I look at it after visiting the new branch, we look a bit tattered. But the books that we have can certainly go into classroom libraries. So then we're looking at that space. I will say right now the path between the two buildings planned out by the landscape architects is a soft surface path meandering through the trees. We're not quite sure what that's going to look like in the heart of the winter. So we're going to be doing this year a mix of using both the North Dartmouth branch and our own library. Mrs. Jasmine will be taking the students when it's appropriate over. We still have to get everyone, cards and everything. So we're looking forward to see how is this going to work, and then making some decisions. Believe me, there's a lot of people with their eyeballs on our library space.
It sounds like a great community partnership as well with the library
And
system.
I know as soon as it's open, I encourage every resident, north, south, east, and west, to come and visit it. It's really going to be a beautiful site.
Great, thank you.
I was going to say the same thing. I'm really excited too, because I work right by there. So I'm excited to personally go there, but I'm excited for not just Potter School, but the people in the north part of town who now have, it's far if you live up north to get down to Southworth Library. And the other library on Tucker Road was not really a great library. So I'm super excited for that, and for all the opportunities that it affords you guys. And I'm really looking forward to seeing the sorts of things that you do over the next couple of years to use that space. It'll be great for you.
I just wanted to say that I should have said it, and I mean it for all of the school improvement plans, the summations that you give at the beginning about the work that you've done and the accomplishments that you feel that you've made from year to year. It really is, it tells a lot about the continuity of the changes that are coming along. I think that with listening to you talk about your technology, how important it is for those technology specialists in the buildings for what they have to offer. You know, we can get the hardware and the software in there, but teachers are so busy with so many things, but to have someone in there that can show them the best ways to enhance the curriculum and enhance instruction is so important. So I think there are a lot of great things going on, and I know it takes a lot of effort on everyone's part, and I am most appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you. The experience of going through every year to write the school improvement plan and reflecting on where we came with certain items is really helpful for us, because sometimes it's a blur. And we see that we've accomplished something, but I will tell you that there is at no time going forth that something is done and checked off. It's an evolution.
Sure
So
is.
sometimes I'm looking and I say, my gosh, the plan is reading similar to last year's plan, but we are still doing those things, and maybe things are evolving with the students. For example, with the technology, we've been really quite fortunate that our teachers, the technology that Mr. Porter mentioned is being pushed into their classroom with Ms. Chicka. It's the opportunity for our classroom teachers to see these new technologies. If it was something that they were just dropping the kids and going, they would never really be able to include that in their classroom. But we're seeing students who, digital natives. They know no other world.
Right.
They would never think of going to a hardbound encyclopedia to look something up. That would be completely foreign to them. They want to know how something works. They look for a YouTube video. Mr. Brooks does as well. So, but it really is something that we need to embrace, and that's why we don't typically say, we just say social media. Facebook is the thing now. A few years ago, it was MySpace. We don't know what the next social media platform that people will be gravitating to. But with that comes a lot of respect for the power, good and bad, of social media.
And also, they're getting instruction on the correct way to use media. If they just let them go, I mean, at least the instruction's there.
That's part of the digital citizenship that Mr. Porter mentioned. It's really
Exactly.
very important. When you explain to them that Wikipedia, anyone can post something to Wikipedia, doesn't mean it's true.
That's right.
That's how I tell myself all the time.
That's when I tell myself when I go to WebMD in panic, yes.
Thank you.
No, just very, very good. And again, talking about the STEM, getting the students involved there, and with the library, getting, the students all their own individual library cards, and the ability to read is paramount in this day and age. So and I'm happy for that, and look forward, like everybody else, to get into that library and see exactly what it is and how it looks.
Very
So,
soon.
Yes.
Yeah, they all pretty much said it. Going last has its benefits and, its setbacks, but I too am excited about how I can just imagine how you're going to utilize that space in the library in that pathway. And I just love how you're always so wise to utilize the resources that are out there, like the JA coming in and offering that to the students. It's invaluable. And, you and I, you're always sharing. We have the community resource fair. You're always kind of, hey, did you hear about this? And it's so helpful because the kids are benefiting. The families are benefiting. So thank you for everything that you do. Really appreciate good work. Thank you.
Good job.
Quinn.
Last but not least.
Last but not least.
Last but not least.
So thank you, and good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. To start out, similar to what Mrs. Brooks was just saying, when we were writing our school improvement plan over the summer and into September, what we're pretty proud about and happy about is that there's not many changes to our school improvement plan. So we're trying to highlight some of those changes for this year. But it's a testament to the staff that we have at the Quinn School, being a very large school, that we have many different initiatives that go on throughout the course of a day, or with that being said, throughout the course of a year. So the staff has been resilient with all the different time where we're meeting to talk about common language and the vertical and horizontal alignment, from curriculum to social emotional to just everything that makes up an entire school day, which is a lot. So last year, if you recall, one of the main talking points that we talked about was establishing committees to focus on 4 key areas to really solidify that common language and making sure as a staff of 100+ people that we're all on the same page. So we had embedded 4 different committees, one being an instructional leadership committee that I should say all 4 committees ended the school year with kind of a final product. So the instructional leadership, we ended up kind of putting together our vertical teams of what makes sense and what is practical as far as the amount of time to make sure that all students benefit from it, and it's just a fun day, which led to building in time to plan as a staff to really kind of prep the students of what they're going to be going into and having a good time. So that was one of the outcomes from instructional leadership. We had an RTI committee where we really talked about the process and what does it look like. We revisited forms that had been in place for a period of time so that we could really talk about what that RTI process looks like. Mrs. Thomas led our PBIS committee, which she'll talk more about, but the final product was the Peaceful Playground. And our integrated technology, which was led by Mrs. Leary, is really just forever ongoing in her role, and especially with the Future Focused initiative. It was just really highlighting the tools that we have and how all the technology really benefits instructional practices, and it's not just something we have to say we have it. So there was a lot of work in that, along with tying in what digital literacy standards are and where they are, and kind of bringing people on board with that. So this year, one of the things that we're going to be focusing on is revisiting our school-wide PBIS initiative, which is roughly 8 to 10 years old, and feedback from staff, from students, and even from parents is it's tough to do with fidelity on a daily basis, where right now we pass out coins and we fill rockets, classroom rockets, grade level rockets, and just keeping in mind that classroom teachers have their own management style, and we still have PBIS rallies where students are being recognized for monthly character traits that they're modeling. So the system that we have, it's just tough to do on a daily basis with fidelity. So our goal this year is to have ongoing meetings starting next month, since we just finished up our color run. That was a huge time commitment, which was fantastic. But our plan moving forward is to have a committee and try to get as many staff as possible to really talk about what moving forward for next school year makes sense as a kind of school-wide PBIS initiative outside of classroom management and our PBIS rallies that we do. And through that, we'd like to take that to our school council, our PTO, and then kind of update all families through our monthly newsletter that we do, and then bring it back to all staff that we'd love to have all staff there, but make sure we're getting through to all stakeholders. So that's a huge goal for us this year.
Good evening. I'm really excited to talk about our community engagement, which is Sunday Story Time with Mrs. Thomas and Friends. So this idea was generated last March when Belinda George, who is a principal from Texas, made national news because she was reading to her students in her school once a week. So as I was watching it, I'm like, why can't we do this at Quinn? So with the blessing from Dr. Gifford and Mr. Granfield, I was able to make a proposal and start it in April. We've had roughly 25 Sunday story times. We did it through April to the end of the year and then over the summer. And we've already started this school year. So it is through our Quinn PTO Facebook page, and every Sunday at 7:30, either myself or a staff member goes online and reads 1 or 2 books to the kids of Quinn. The purpose really was, for me, I wanted kids to be excited about reading. I thought it was really cool that they could kind of interact with whoever was doing the reading. So when they come on at night, they can say hi to me or whoever's reading. We get to say hi back to them. And then as we're reading, we can ask them comprehension questions. They're able to respond, which is really cool. And also another big thing, just for them to have eyes on print. Parents love it. It's one night that they get to share, you know, with their kids, but they're not the ones doing the reading. So a lot of the parents will say it's nice to have a night off, just to sit with them and enjoy it with them. Some of them put it on their big screen. They'll send me shots of them watching me or other staff members on their big screen TVs, which is really cool. And the other thing that I really wanted was to increase our members for our Quinn PTO page, because we do send out a lot of information on that. And so far we've increased by 150 families have actually come on since we've been doing that, which is really great. So we also invite community members, so if anyone ever wants to read on Sunday night, please let me know. But also my amazing staff who volunteers their time on Sundays to read from their home. It's really great for the kids, and they absolutely love seeing their teachers reading to them and commenting. And so if you're not a member of our page but want to be, please join, and you can also watch. And the cool thing is that they all stay archived. So for people that join even now, they could go back to last year's and watch all of them. So some dress up with props. It's really fun. So I'm really excited about that. As Mr. Granfield was saying earlier, we did have 4 committees last year that worked really hard on different aspects of the school. One of them being our PBIS committee, which I chaired, but had 25 staff members with me who really wanted to see a change with our playground, specifically the blacktop area, which was bare. Because when you have 5 classrooms outside and only 2 really can go on the 2 blacktops, you have a lot of kids with not too much to do. So that also can increase our behaviors because they're bored, so they're coming to me. So we wanted to make sure that that wasn't happening as much. And we had over the summer a lot of awesome volunteers that came 2 Saturdays, both parents and staff members who spent the entire day here painting our playground with our Peaceful Playground curriculum. We have, if you haven't seen it, please go out and see it. It was our phase 1. We will be doing phase 2 with our older kids on the other side as well. But they have a huge track there that they can walk, and they love to just walk and talk with their friends. They have Twister. We have a sensory path, which the kids really love. So just a lot of different games, chutes and ladders, but enlarged for them to play. So every time I go out there and see the kids playing, it's really awesome to see, and it has decreased kids coming in because they're engaged in play, which we've been talking about, so it's been a really awesome thing to see. So if you haven't seen it, please come and visit one day so you can.
And the final thing that we wanted to highlight is that we're very excited about is we're always trying to support staff of classroom strategies for all types of behavior or situations that they can encounter through a day. And I don't think it's a surprise that the amount of students that we're seeing with trauma is significantly higher year after year after year. So we had gotten really good feedback about Dr. Charlie Applestein with some of the work that he had done over the last year. And it was in the smaller pockets, and after reaching out to him this summer and talking about what that could look like, we're excited that he's actually coming to our next 2 staff meetings, the 2nd October one and the 1st November one, to really highlight what it feels like for a student with significant trauma, as well as providing teachers with strategies and ideas that can hopefully ultimately help them in the classroom on a daily basis moving forward. So with that, thank you, and be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Who'd like to start?
Cool. Wow. This is the good stuff that we get to listen to all night. I mean, the four SIPs have all been wonderful, and a little different because each school is different and such. But that's great. But job well done. The reading on Sunday. I gotta try that. I gotta see if I can figure out how to get on get to that Facebook page.
I can help you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I am on Facebook, but to try and get someplace a little different, that type of deal. Updating the PBIS manual I think is paramount and is very good. And just a personal congratulations on, I've managed to get 5 minutes to stop by Saturday, and it looked like it was well received, and fantastic job by everybody that was involved. And even seeing the police department, the fire department, ambulance, stat ambulance here. It was just nice to see everyone here and really having a good time. It was nice.
Too, that we still have teachers here that stayed for the presentation. They were also here on Saturday volunteering all the different stations. We had an increase in runners. We had over 650 runners this year.
Wow.
Just that ran, not to mention other family. And we had 30-plus vendors. We had just so many different things happening, but our staff and parents volunteering was just fantastic, or we wouldn't have been able to do it. So thank you, and thank you for coming back.
Oh, my pleasure.
Well, looks like great things are happening at Quinn. Something that you're all doing too is the focus on continuous progress and improvement. Like when you send out those forms and you want to keep improving them to make them more effective. Those, it doesn't sound like a big thing, but it's really extremely important. I noticed too that you restructured your master schedule. What was that all about?
We're trying our best to continue having grade levels have common planning time, not just on common planning time days. And it was trickier this year because we went from 5 at every grade level to we have 6 in K, 6 in grade 1. We have a dip in grade 3, we have 4, so.
Yeah.
It's like a Rubik's Cube, and we tried our best to do that, and.
It is difficult, but it's worth it. Great work, all of you. Thank you, and I love the story time. Thank you.
Yeah, I love the story time too. I see how excited people are on Facebook when story time is coming up. People get really excited about that. And it's good to see. I love to read, so I would love to come on sometime. It's one of my favorite things to do. My kids they're old teenagers now, so they roll their eye at me. No, they won't let me. I think we managed to pull it through to like middle school, which was pretty good. So I miss that, so I'd love to do it. And I think I particularly love it because it's a way to maintain those connections over breaks, right? To have them going on in the summer and to keep people engaged is really awesome. And so I love to see it. It's awesome.
So yeah, what a commitment with the story time piece. I give you guys you folks a lot of props for taking on that.
Great staff, because they volunteer their time too.
So it's just it's everyone, anyone that wants to volunteer can pretty much volunteer for it.
I don't turn anybody down.
That's.
Do you check
just
to see
curious.
what book they want to read?
What was that?
You want to check to see what the book.
That's right. There's a lot of work that Audra puts in. She advertises.
I
it
can only
weekly.
imagine.
Yeah, it's a lot.
She goes and makes sure there's someone to read. If not, she reads. But on our weekly backpack that we send home, she has a picture of the book, kind of intriguing all families that we send home to advertise of what that's going to be on Sunday night. So that's a massive time commitment, and she every single week, all throughout the entire summer, going back to 25 weeks ago, she hasn't missed a week yet. So that is a lot of work she's putting in.
That's just great. The other couple of other things. One thing, talking about the playground, how over the summer you had a bunch of volunteers. I'm just looking. I drive by here all the time. Do you not have? Is there a playground structure there at all, or is there? So
There is. We have
Bless you.
our big toy and our new toy.
Yep.
On both sides.
Yeah.
And then we have that massive blacktop. So that's really where we focused on,
Okay.
was the blacktop. We painted, the whole blacktop is
They
painted.
repaved it last summer.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Whatever
so
was
now
there.
there's literally an area for everyone
Yes.
to kind of engage in. That's wonderful. Since you're the last school presenting, I'll say that I'm really amazed at what goes on in the Dartmouth Public Schools. I'm very active in the K-12 community and in groups across, in the South Coast. But I always, even though I work for another district, I always somehow mention how good that Dartmouth is and what we're doing in Dartmouth, being on the school committee. It never ceases to amaze me how we're always evolving. The passion that our administrators, as well as our educators and paras and the TAs in the classrooms, right down to all the support staff in the district. How much time and effort that goes into making this district a better place, and I commend all of you for that. And The last piece I'll leave with is, and I don't know if this is something for maybe Dr. Gifford or Mrs. Roy or Mrs. Olivera, but we've heard about all the great things. Is there a theme in the district for a challenge? Is there any like if you could share with us one like really big challenge that we're facing as a district? And I don't know if I'm putting everyone, educate, Mrs. Baldwin. I'm referring to the education and not the union negotiations. I would agree with you with that, though.
She's, to a point, I mean, obviously, the first thing I think of is, first I want to say, we have some of the best administrators, every single building. I am so thrilled and proud and pleased with the work that everyone here is doing. At Old High School, they haven't spoken, but you don't know what it's like to be an administrator in a building and the issues they're dealing with, the programs we have to include all kids, provide mental health support, you know, so for them to be able to coordinate with their staff and keep their staffs inspired and motivated and to play nice, you know, all of us as a team, they're pretty fantastic people, every single one of them. So to say that first, but also it's budget, because in order to, it comes down to being able to maintain what we have and to keep moving forward and there to provide a fair and equitable contract. And I know we don't want to really talk about that now, but we went away this weekend to Denver, and that was some of the things we talked about, to be able to continue with our innovation, our STEM, and have the proper personnel on board that can do these things. If you have to start losing some of your folks, these programs can't continue, you know, so it really does. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. I don't think the work is the challenge, really, because everyone loves the work and they're digging in. And I mean, like Kyle said, the teachers that were here this weekend, they want to be here. They want to be involved. They want to do the best by the kids. But if they start losing resources or, you know, that kind of thing, many districts I've been around, they don't have even like the technology we have to be able to have kids have you know. So I say that's our big challenge, to try to do what we do so well with perhaps limited funding. And I think you saw one of the PTO's budget that they presented forth. I was looking through that, the amount of money, and I know Shannon's mentioned it a million times, the amount of money the various groups add to our what we're able to do. So I just give all of these folks a lot of kudos, and we're trying our best to strategize to be able to continue supporting them with what they need. So
Okay.
that's all.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Mhm.
So if you don't mind, I won't keep you up much longer, but, yeah, no, you mentioned you're a large school, and every school has its level of needs, but you are a large school with a high level of needs. And you are standing here, Audra, with smiles on your face, excited about the work, and that's just such a testament. I mean, everyone came up and was so excited about. I love how we added that element of what you're excited about, because it's so important. But DeMello's in the house for your Sunday reading, and I wonder if, I'm looking in the back, I won't name any names, but if you thought about having some kind of contest as to who's the funniest with the props. Because, I mean, every week is so, yeah. Carol. Yes, there you go. There's hysterical. Last night was just, I mean, Alex, it was just hysterical. The costumes and engaging the kids and calling them out, how
That's all
proud
on
they
their
are to
own.
hear their name.
All on their own. They
Oh,
do
it's
that,
wonderful. I love watching it. Yeah, I think that was the ultimate, in my opinion, the funniest.
Carol Hart and Tammy Vasconcelos, I think, take the cake for the best, most hysterical
Oh, my
reading so
goodness.
far.
And so I'm glad. I didn't
Cool.
realize that they were archived, but go back. So funny. So funny. But, yeah, thank you for everything that you do, considering your size and your level of need. And like you said, the Rubik's Cube of trying to kind of manage all of it. All of you who came up, really, but I'm just speaking to you now because you're up here, and just a wonderful job, so thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, do we need a motion, do we need to approve the?
Yeah, so do we need a motion to sort of
You want a motion
approve
to
the?
approve
Improvement plans, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will entertain a
Make a
mo-
motion that we approve the 4 school improvement plans as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, unanimous, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. It's really a treat to get to hear about all
Oh,
that you're
fabulous.
planning and the great work that's being done in the schools. All right. What's next?
Good stuff.
So we have Dr. Gifford to talk about,
Now, we got an acknowledgement.
yeah, an acknowledgement for funding?
Yes.
A gift?
Yes, you can read what this is, but Mr. Kiley and I met with Jim McBratney a couple of weeks back, I guess, and Mr. Kiley knew a lot about the scholarship trust fund that already existed, and we were thrilled to have him come and present us with more money to add to these. And I guess I'll just read it because everyone doesn't know what it's about, so it's short enough. So the Dartmouth Scholarship Trust provides scholarships to Dartmouth High School graduates each year. When originally established, the donors had wished to remain anonymous. However, the trust has revised their wishes and will now be known as the Dartmouth Scholarship Trust, funded by Dr. J. Greer and Elizabeth I. McBratney. In addition, Mr. Kiley sent this, so he was pleased to announce that on September 12, 2019, the McBratney Trust contributed an additional $100,000 to increase the non-expendable principal balance of the fund to $229,500 to fund future scholarships through the interest earned. In addition, on September 12, 2019, the McBratney Trust contributed $50,000 to the Dartmouth Enrichment Fund, which they had previously established to be used for the benefit of all Dartmouth Public School students. And the balance of that fund now is $117,724.55. So we were, of course, very appreciative of this. These folks have been passed away, and the family is standing by their wishes to continue this for our kids and the enrichment programs. And as Mr. Kiley noted, it will no longer be an anonymous fund, so
Wow.
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's-
Fantastic.
I'm assuming proper thank yous are being sent.
Oh, yes.
So-
It's wonderful.
Oh, it's fantastic.
A wonderful gift.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
And hopefully the stock market will do well, so we'll make a lot of interest.
Right.
And principal increases so that we can give out a lot of scholarships
Yeah.
out of there. Fantastic. Do we need to?
Yeah, do we need
Do we
to
need
make
to
a-
accept this,
Do you
Jeff?
have to accept that? No?
We don't have to.
It's an existing
Existing,
scholarship,
okay.
so, I mean, the scholarship itself has already been
Okay,
accepted.
that's
so
fine,
I-
yeah.
I
Just
didn't think there was a
just the name
motion
of-
that was necessary. but-
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Great. No, thanks.
Phew.
We have, how about superintendent's
Try to
update?
go fast. I know it's getting late, but we'll have like 5 minutes. So I just started my superintendent chats this past, last week, and visited 2 schools and tried to get a scheduled time so folks that want to can come say hello or share some ideas. I'm going to let Mr. News talk about the band. I know that lots have been happening. I wanted to mention, I know we heard from Sophia about the athletic program, but the teams are doing so well. I asked Andy tonight to give me their stats. So field hockey is 7-2-1, football 1-3, girls soccer 5-2-1, boys soccer 4-3-1, golf 3-10, the cross country boys 1-2, girls 2-1, and our volleyball team is 11-0. So look forward to them in the States or whatever happens next. Let's see. You know we've been involved in the Innovation and Transformational Leadership Network. One of the things that came out of that recently was we were recommended by them to have a visit from a group, K-12 Education. And if you look online, it's a virtual school, K-12, and they're continually trying to evolve. So what they wanted to do was come out and visit schools that to kind of look at best practices. And I think about seeing how our innovation or technology was being used, they could see it in person, because as they're trying to implement things virtually, what kind of projects our teachers are doing with our students. So that was a wonderful visit. We took them to middle school, the high school, and Quinn to see some of what was happening in the schools. Speaking of, I also want to mention before I have a quick little video, Bob's Discount Furniture, Mr. Parati, once again, proactive, trying to secure donations for the program, which he always has donors choose. You can all donate to that. But he was able to obtain a Bob's Discount Furniture $1,000 gift card. So I guess he and Mr. Tebow have been out looking at, talk about like different kinds of furniture, the professional-looking stools and things for their, for the studio. And they just, I think, got wireless mics as well, so that was exciting. But what I wanted to just highlight really quick tonight is we went to, hope Jonathan has it. Yes. Yep. As I said, we had a culminating visit this weekend. The core team from the Innovation Leadership Network went to Denver for our last session, formalized session with the group. And each of the groups were able to highlight, we were cohort 1, the 15 school districts that participated, and cohort 2 members who are going to jump on were also there. So each of the cohort 1 groups were able to talk a little bit about the work we've been doing, and then they wanted us to show a quick little 5-minute video. So I wanted to kind of show you that, what we showed to the group. You have it, right, Jonathan? This weekend. And then see where we go in the future. Yeah, go ahead. The Dartmouth Public School District is a high-achieving district that excels in many areas, including academics, arts, music, athletics, TV media, STEM, and innovation. This is due to an outstanding faculty, a focus on relationships, and a supportive community.
Dartmouth Public Schools join this network for the ultimate goal to expand and enhance the future-focused mindset in our district. The mindset leads to instructional practices that empower students through creative and critical thinking, collaboration, and communication to be successful in this ever-changing world. Dartmouth Public Schools believes this work is important to continue and build upon our movement towards personalized, blended learning, and project-based lessons and units. When looking at our GPS statement, we wanted first to get staff buy-in, to develop a philosophy to shift instructional practices to meet kids today where they are. When we stop and think, we're preparing students for jobs that don't exist yet. We wanted to empower our students by providing opportunities, and therefore they can go off and grow, mature, and live interesting lives that develop their passions.
When starting any initiative, it's important that the why is clearly understood. Our efforts included helping people understand we are preparing students for their future, not our past, and that all students deserve to be prepared for this ever-changing world.
Authentic learning. And so Peter and I both teach AP Bio, and so we were like, let's do some station rotations, which take a lot of time to plan at the front end. So this is our first one. We did not do this last year. We're just piloting it now. So there's 5 stations. There's cohesion and adhesion, so different properties of water, plant adaptations. There's the Z-Space, the heavy computers, that's a station rotation. Then the 2 stations that are in Peter's room were milk vortex and capillary action. So these kids are amazing. They're very independent to begin with.
Recognizing teacher voice is a critical component in any initiative, we started our work with a core team, but quickly added ambassadors from each school. These people helped develop our vision for personalized and blended learning that is purposeful, intentional, relevant, and targeted. And they also inspire and support all of those ready to take risks in our schools.
This year, we launched our Take a Risk campaign, establishing a risk-free environment where teachers were encouraged to have students do the doing, reduce whole class teacher talk, and increase student choice and voice.
And then this morning when they came in, I gave them a quick quiz. They just had to write down how they feel. And if they got all the terms right, they jumped right to my green section, which is go on to my classroom and just blog about the words. If they got section, I have a classroom. If they got section 1, anything anything section 1 wrong, I send them over here to work on section 1 of the text analysis. If they got something in section 2 wrong, they came over here to work on section 2.
So this is the Engineering 2 classes at Dartmouth High School. I'm Sam Brodsky. I am the teacher of these classes. This is a gravity car project. It's kind of a culminating project for this class. It's a great project because there's a lot of design involved and there's a lot of teamwork. It's really hard to do it just by yourself. You really need a bunch of people together. And so that's a really great segment of this work. It's also neat to build something bigger. We start with much smaller projects in the classroom. And when you build something on the scale that you're actually going to ride it down a hill, it's a whole different situation. And you run into variables that you just can't make up.
Hi, I'm Mr. Tweedy, and this is the Marine Science Collection Field Trip.
Moving forward, we reflect on where we have been to solidify where we are going. The shifts in instructional practice continue to support our teachers and students. We have always been a district that performs high, so we take our tradition and now mix it with innovation, giving students multiple opportunities to collaborate, think critically, and explore.
That's it. And everybody's involved in all that work, so that's what I have.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Anybody have any comment around that? No?
Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful video.
Yeah.
Will you be sharing that?
Mr. Parati.
Yeah. Is that going to be shared, or is it already, like, shared?
Yeah, we'll
through-
share it. We haven't
Yeah.
yet, but we will.
Great narration, by the way.
I know, right?
I mean,
Brilliant voices.
Yeah.
but it highlights a little bit of everything that we're
Right.
doing.
Yeah.
type of
Now it's
deal.
all interconnected
Yeah.
and all necessary.
Yep.
Yeah, great. So report of the chair, Sophie did such a great job, and Dr. Gifford, you covered pretty much everything. I will put in a plug for the Community Resource Fair that will be happening on Sunday, October 20th, from 10 to 3 at the high school. Just a huge variety of South Coast community resources there to talk with people. So I really encourage people to stop by for that. And the only other thing that I do have, as far as, I guess, is that as a committee, you remember we asked to invite our legislators to come and talk with us. And so Kate invited our Senator Montigny and Representative Chris Markey. I'm not sure if Chris Markey replied, but I do know that Mark Montigny staff person did reply, and so we wanted them to come on to talk really about the, to do with the legislation with the funding for public education and how that will affect our district, because we do know that even though last year we put a resolution together in support of a more equitable split, we knew that that we would be vulnerable to losing money in that arrangement. So Senator Montigny is not available any of our upcoming meetings. However, and I can read this.
No.
So it does not appear that the dates work for the senator, but he's hoping to have some availability. He will have some availability this upcoming week, the week of the 14th, so next week. And so I guess I'm putting it forth to the committee to see what your thoughts are or your availability is in regards to how do we proceed. As your servant leader, I ask you kindly to share your thoughts on whether we take him up on meeting with him according to his availability. And the representative that got back to Kate said that, you know, he also welcomes Representative Markey to attend that as well, and just to let them know, and they look forward to hearing from us. Yes.
So can I, this is a little bit of a deflection, but Mr. Colley, there were some rumors and information swirling around about how, from the governor's analysis, about how each of the communities are going to fare. Did you see anything, any Dartmouth numbers or anything in those numbers?
Nothing that looks any different than what we already know, which is that Dartmouth is not really a beneficiary of that, so of any sizable amount.
Yeah, I guess my concern is that some of the communities are looking at sort of sharp reductions. And the only reason why I ask is because if we're, I mean, bad enough we're not getting more money, but if we're getting a lot less money, then I think it would behoove us to try to meet with Senator Montigny before the bill moves through each of the chambers, so we can at least sort of talk about that. Because I don't think it behooves us to wait until later after the bill is already passed, then the horse is already out of the barn.
Well, if I could add, I
Please.
mean, we've always been vulnerable, in a vulnerable position, because we are actually receiving more money from the state than what the state says we should receive, according to the existing formula. Communities were held harmless. At the time they revised the formula, because for political reasons, there was no way they were going to revise this formula, give all the money take money from certain communities and give it to others. So they sort of held certain communities steady, which has been our case here in Dartmouth, and increased other communities. We've always been vulnerable in the fact that if they ever really wanted to implement a true formula, which I don't really think they can politically pull off, we'd be hurt. I mean, we're getting more money than they think we should. So it's possible that that could happen, but politically, I can't imagine how they actually could implement it. But
Well, certainly though, under the governor's analysis, right, there are numerous communities over the course of the funding that do stand to sort of see a reduction in their state aid. And given how low our tax rate is, I mean, that's the historical problem when you compare our tax rate to other communities. It's just well below where other communities are. But, so my concern is, I didn't expect us to get a windfall in this, but my concern is that we're gonna be one of those numbers of the communities in that analysis that actually loses money because of that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
Because that money is going to school districts that have a higher level of need.
Or they're kind of more fully phasing in the formula as it actually was supposed to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the legislators should have a significant say in that, you know, and the governor may propose something, but that's, you know.
My understanding though, that
His
was the
analysis of it.
governor's analysis of the bill that came, I'm looking at John, because John follows this, that was the governor's
Yeah.
analysis of the bill that came out of committee, yes?
Yeah. You know,
So
it's-
it is the legislature's
Yeah.
plan,
And
that's
it's
what my
it's like a
concern is.
5, it's like $1 billion for 5 years.
Right.
Type of deal, which is, $250 million a year divided by 351 communities. Isn't a heck of a lot, per se. It's, in the grand scheme of things, it's less than, $1 million per community. But when you sit here and you take, as they just did in in the spring, or with the revised budgets that they came out with, and you drop, $2 million into Fall River and $3 million into New Bedford, and we saw what it did to us, we're done. We're out in left field.
I would expect
So-
that we'll see more of the same, which is they get more and we get nothing.
Yeah.
Basically. That's what I would expect out
And
of it.
they'll stand on their high horses and say, hey, look what we did, yay, 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 for us. No. So,
He's already done that.
yeah, I know. I gotta see.
So, I've got a little that.
No, that's
but
important.
The roundabout way, I guess, I think I would be inclined, if that's the only time that he can
Yeah.
meet with us, to try to meet with him.
I mean, the only-
Before it moves
Yeah.
through the Senate and the House.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm good with that, but we've got town meeting Tuesday night next week, and so I've got a commitment Thursday night, so I've got Wednesday and Friday. Those are my 2 nights.
Well, also, what time would we be talking about if it were around 4? That's something I could possibly do. But
say
I
the
have
hours?
commitments on that.
I believe it was just the week of, let me just see. Possibly, all right, yeah. The week of the 14th, and he wasn't specific as far as they would find availability that week. So there was no other correspondence after that, so I think that, go ahead.
I don't have to be there. I mean, I would be inclined to take what he has, and then whoever can make it can make it.
Yeah, that's fine, but, you know,
Right,
again,
yeah.
I'm,
But I think it's important that
I'm
someone.
available Wednesday.
I'm available, well, it depends on the time. So I think for all of us, it depends on time, so.
Yeah.
Well, I
if
mean-
we can find a couple of times and whoever's available can go.
yeah, I mean,
Would-
I've got commitments Tuesday night, Thursday night, well, Tuesday night's town meeting, so.
Okay.
I mean, do we? with
Could
all
each
due
of you look and then send me your availability, and then I'll work with Kate to,
Yeah,
would that work?
sure,
Okay,
can do that.
yeah.
No
'Cause
problem.
I know I was limited as well, like you said, I've got some work commitments in the evening. I mean, if I
Yeah.
can fit it in, thank goodness for Papa and babysitting.
Oh,
But
yeah.
if I can fit it in, I will
Yep.
as well, but certainly don't have to be there either, so. Okay, so we'll follow up with me on that, and,
Yep.
yeah, and I guess, does anybody else have anything? Could you update us, John, on the?
Sure, I got just a couple, I mean, I already mentioned town meeting. This is just a question, and I'm gonna, unless are you talking about the spelling bee?
I will.
Okay, fine. Okay, I'll leave that off, that's fine. Yeah, seriously, I know, thank you, Dr. Gifford. We're off and running with our band season, so far undefeated, very fortunate. We had 2 good shows this weekend, Saturday up in Rentham, at King Philip, and Sunday afternoon at New Bedford at McCoy. We head to Cranston, Rhode Island, this Saturday night, and then we've got a parade on Monday in Revere, the Columbus Day Parade that we always do, so, we're off there. As everybody else, the athletic teams and anybody else is doing, the Triple E has made it very difficult, with having to, have rehearsals in the afternoon, because a lot of the drill staff comes from other places, and, they can't get out of work or, their afternoon commitment, so it's been tough, but, the students are working hard at it, and, everybody's enjoying it. And again, my thanks to Dr. Gifford, Kathleen, Mr. Tebow for your time Saturday night at our home show. It was appreciated.
How's the new field working?
Oh. It's nice. It's nice sitting up there in all seriousness and being able to see the numbers. It really is.
Anyone else have any? Oh, Shannon with the spelling bee.
Yeah, sorry, I just found that analysis. I'll share it with you, Mr. Kiley. It's not good.
Yeah, I have it.
We're in the not good communities, so, sorry, I'm a little distracted right now. Our Chapter 70 money as percent of the budget goes from 25% to 21%.
Yeah.
So we're in a not good community,
No.
sorry. Yeah, we should definitely talk to Senator Montigny about that. The spelling bee is November 14th from 7 to 9. We are accepting donations. We are also accepting teams, so anyone associated with the schools, you don't have to give a donation to field a team. I know Mr. Tebow's already given some nudges over there. I think Mr. Tebow already has his team in, yeah? He's ready to go. So we would love to have people come out. It's a fun night to just visit or to spell or to make a donation. And the form for doing donations and teams, it's DEFMA, Dartmouth Education Foundation, Massachusetts, or you can Google Dartmouth Education Foundation and you'll find that. Thank you.
Are we sponsoring a team?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yes, I would
Mhm.
like for us to sponsor a team, so
Okay.
if you can give me donations, that would be great.
How mu-
And if it's too much for anyone, I'll make up that
No,
difference.
that's all right. What is it?
It's just 300 for a team, so
one,
divided
two,
by
three,
five
four,
would be
five.
60.
For a team.
For a team, not per person,
Yeah,
per
yeah,
team,
for
so
a
divide
team.
it across the 5 of us, yeah.
So there's $60 apiece.
60
That's
bucks
okay.
each. Okay, great.
Well, you can do that. All right.
Dartmouth Education Foundation, yeah.
Yay, get a tax
That would be
write-off.
great. Thank you.
Okay.
Great. So if that is all, yes, go ahead.
I'll just add a couple of things. I just want to go, this is just me speaking from my own point of view, but I would like to take the opportunity to thank Mrs. Vieira for respectfully presenting her concerns to the committee and to the district. I think they are justified with the health insurance piece. And, you know, I want to dispel any misconceptions out there, because some of the signs personally bother me, that we're not doing anything or we're being disrespectful to the teachers. So that does bother me personally. And I also ask that if you have any questions for information, for budgetary numbers, that you either reach out directly to Mr. Kiley or any of us on school committee, because there's misconceptions and half-truths out there about different information, so in regards to the budget. So I ask that you please reach out to the administration or one of us on the committee. We'd always, I don't think any of us are unreasonable. And we would always love to sit down and entertain a conversation with you. So thank you, Mrs. Vieira.
Thank you, everyone. So with that, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session to provide an update with respect to collective bargaining with union personnel and to discuss complaint brought against employee not to return to open session.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Kathleen Emerald?
Yes.
Chris Oliver?
Yes.
Sharon Jenkins?
Yes.
Carol Karafotis?
Yes.
John Nunes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.